Time now for our ETF Spotlight, handing it off to our own Mike Santoli, who's taking a look at small caps.
Yeah,
Mike.
Morgan, I mean, they're outperforming just slightly today, but on the whole, it's been a run with small caps where they've more often been in kind of the worry column than not, if you're kind of toting up the virtues and vices of this market. Here's a 2-year chart of the IWM, that's a Russell 2000 ETF. 8 times this has bounced off of a level between 145 and 150 over the last 2 years. Obviously, last fourth quarter is when it plunged below that. We just came off that again around 147, 148. I think you would look at that, if it was the only glimpse you had of the overall market, you'd say, wow, we haven't been able to get out of our own way. The good news is, obviously, large caps look healthier, they look better. They're obviously not also have a lot of momentum behind them, but they're only 2.5% from their high as opposed to 10 for the Russell. The good news is there's not a lot of reason necessarily to extrapolate weakness in the Russell to some kind of broad comment on the markets. It's not that predictive. It's about 7% of total market cap, but it's not a great thing that these companies can't really thrive in this environment.
Why isn't it that the large caps have the benefit of buybacks?
It's a combination of things. Buybacks, but buybacks are a product also of good balance sheets, easy access to the debt markets, and more stable profit margins in business. The smaller companies, obviously there are a lot of financials in there, not enough tech. There's a sector issue as well. So they're just kind of in this part of the cycle, not able to capitalize on what works for their stocks.
So you think which is more reflective of the broad economy?
Of the broad economy, I guess it's probably a blend of the two, because the large caps really are massive employers and they're not laying people off. But in terms of being slow growth,
job growth is
yes.
Small business driven.
And in general, but small business, the average market cap is $1 billion for a Russell 2000 company, almost $1 billion. So it's not tiny Main Street companies. But no, I do think it's reflective of a relatively late cycle, slow growth environment.
Yeah, I mean, knee-jerk, I think, headline reaction to the small caps is you would think they're most exposed to the U.S. economy and U.S. growth and probably least exposed to trade, and yet they've underperformed. How much is the financials piece of the story here for the
It's a big one. It's obviously the biggest sector. It's a much bigger weighting than large caps. But I also think that idea that they're domestically focused, while true, they're also suppliers to the big exporters.
Yeah.
And so they just don't have a lot of leverage within the economy to dictate terms. I think that's a bigger piece than it is domestic or international.